What's happening, fam? John here from AF Anime, back again with another One Piece live action related video, this time talking about the casting as well as some updates and information and even some leaks that we've gotten for the series. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, but for those of you who are subscribed or have seen my previous video on the One Piece live action casting, this one will serve as a kind of part 2, but not quite as I promised at the end of the last video. Now at that point I was planning on doing a video talking about the potential A-list casting for characters like Kobe, Helmeppo, Owner Zeph, as well as Hacha. But it turns out a good deal of those characters have been cast since I've posted that video. So what I'll do in this one is briefly talk about the 8+ cast members who've been added since my last video, as well as my thoughts on them and the roles they were given for this One Piece live action series. And then after that we'll talk about the remainder of the characters from season 1 who have yet to have casting announcements. And then after that I'll talk about some of the potential casting for season 2, or some of my favorite picks if they were to involve A-list celebrities. And then after that, I'll wrap this video up by sharing as much up-to-date information as we have on the One Piece live action, as well as some interesting social media posts in regards to the One Piece live action. So with that long introduction out of the way, we can go ahead and talk about one of the most important casting decisions that Netflix has made, and that is the casting of red-haired Shanks. And if you were not already aware of this casting decision, I'll go ahead and allow this actor to introduce himself via this video.
Hi guys, I'm Peter Gadio. I'm super stoked to announce that I'll be playing Shanks on One Piece. We've just started production here in Cape Town and I cannot wait for you to see it.
So, if it wasn't already obvious, this actor who is playing Shanks is named Peter Gadio, and he's got a lot of experience when it comes to his involvement in Hollywood, especially when it comes to TV show productions. But to be quite honest, aside from Supergirl, there isn't a whole lot of projects that he's been involved with that I'd actually heard of before doing research on him and his role for One Piece. Now, to be fair, along with Supergirl, I am not experienced with any show or movie that's on his resume, but I can say at least that he does have the look of a Shanks, and maybe the red hair will just make it that much more convincing. But to be honest, with my lack of experience with his work, I can't say for sure if I'm 100% confident in his acting talent. I know I looked on his IMDb and it says that he's going to be playing Shanks in every episode, but I feel like he should only be present in episode number 1. But if the IMDb is correct in saying that he'd be present in every episode of season 1, then it's possible the first part of Romance Dawn, where we get the flashback of Luffy and Shanks, is broken up between every episode from season 1. Now, I personally don't like that idea, but I could see how it could work for a newcomer to the series. It's just, this guy really shouldn't have much than an episode or 2 to worry about, but if they are truly putting him in every single episode, then I don't know, maybe that could be more engaging to bring in some of the newer viewers who haven't seen the source material yet and have this, flashback be something they could look forward to in every episode. Now, I know I spent a good amount of time talking about this one actor in particular, but the role of Shanks is an important one and kind of needs to be done correctly in order to better engage the newcomers and the old fans alike. So now we can move on to the casting of the character Buggy. A lot of people in one of my previous videos mentioned, before I even knew, that Jeff Ward had just been cast to play Buggy. And just like Peter Gadio, this guy also has a pretty expansive resume when it comes to his acting in TV series. However, I will say that this guy's resume has more work on it that I actually recognize, such as his role in The Mentalist, Law & Order, and even Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So overall, based on his resume, I would assume that this guy is probably a pretty talented actor, but the role of Buggy is a tricky one, and I'm just interested to see how it'll work out for him. Now, next up is going to be Buggy's temporary partner in crime and the technical first villain of the One Piece story, and that's Alvida. And the actress who is portraying this character, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, is named Ilia Isorelis Paulino. And after checking out her resume, she appears to be the most inexperienced actress when it comes to the 3 mentioned thus far. However, do not let that information dissuade you, as this actress actually has acted alongside some pretty big names. For example, she plays a character in the movie called Me Time, which is actually still in post-production, but that movie features Mark Wahlberg, Kevin Hart, and Regina Hall. Those are all pretty big names. Also, there's the movie Queen Pins, which just came out last year, and she acted alongside Kristen Bell and Vince Vaughn. So I do actually find that a bit interesting that someone who just got into the acting scene has been on some pretty big movies so far, but she also is listed as a writer, not just an actress, so it's entirely possible her writing credits could be getting her into these movies as well. However, there is one thing I am curious about, and that is the proper portrayal of Alvida's devil fruit. Honestly, it's not super necessary to the story of One Piece. That's something that can be overlooked or skipped over. Maybe not so much Alvida's role with Kobe and him becoming a Marine, but I'll be interested to see how Matt Owens and Netflix decide to approach the issue of her devil fruit, if at all. And speaking of Alvida, the next person we can talk about is Kobe and his casting. They have casted Morgan Davies to play Kobe. Now, Morgan Davies does have a pretty expansive career and has worked with the likes of Sam Neill and even William Dafoe. And much like every other actor or actress so far, I have no experience with this actor's work, but considering the fact that they are 20 years old and have already such a long list of experience when it comes to acting credits, I think for the short amount of time that we see Kobe in this series, that this actor will probably do pretty well with the role. And naturally, after Kobe comes Helmeppo, and the actor portraying Helmeppo is Aiden Scott. And from what I can tell, this actor actually is fairly inexperienced, or at least only has a handful of roles under their belt. They did act in the movie Action Point, which was starring Johnny Knoxville, as well as written by Johnny Knoxville and Chris Pontius of Jackass fame. And then there's a couple of TV series they were involved in, such as the Abraham Lincoln miniseries / documentary, and a couple other small projects. So I can't really speak to this actor's talent, as I haven't seen any of their projects as well, but I will say that Helmeppo might be one of the easiest characters to nail out of this entire cast for season 1, since they pretty much just need to be a spoiled brat or a stuck-up a-hole in order to nail that role. Next up is going to be one of the more recent announcements, and that's going to be Lieutenant Fullbody, and his character is going to be played by the actor John Henry, who recently announced his hiring on Twitter. Now, I did some research into this character's filmography, but from what I can tell, this is probably his first role, or at least his first major role. I'm only saying that because my usual sources of IMDb and Wikipedia show that he only has One Piece credited for his acting roles, which is fine because Lieutenant Fullbody is one of those characters similar to Helmeppo, where all you have to do is just be an a-hole for that role, and you should do a good job. And next up for a cast reveal is going to be Garp, who is going to be played by Vincent Reagan. And this guy has quite the resume. He is arguably the most experienced person to take part in this One Piece project. He has been in a lot of stuff all the way back to the 90s and 80s. He's been in The Black Knight with Martin Lawrence, one of my childhood favorite movies. He was in Troy with Brad Pitt, 300 with Gerard Butler, Clash of the Titans, Ghost Rider, Snow White and the Huntsman. This guy has a lot of experience under his belt, and Garp is a fun and lighthearted character. I don't know about this guy's characters in particular, as I don't really remember him in a lot of these movies, but I will say that having someone with so much experience on this cast could be very promising in terms of counterbalancing a lot of the newer actors who really don't have that much experience. Although Garp's presence should be pretty scant when it comes to the first season, it could be promising going forward though, as his presence becomes much more important leading up to the reveal of him being Luffy's grandfather in Enies Lobby. So I'm excited to see his work in the series, but the last character that I want to talk about is Arlong, who is the last confirmed casted character, and his actor is going to be played by McKinley Belcher, or McKinley Belcher III. And much like the last guy, this actor has quite the resume under his belt as well. He's been acting for a long time and has been in some really big projects such as Ozark, Marriage Story, Law and Order, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Power, Elementary, all these series that have been, you know, relatively successful and relatively popular, this guy has been popping up in. So I think it's very promising that he'll be playing a character like Arlong, whose portrayal needs to be serious. So kudos on Netflix for making this decision. I do think that, you know, some of the more important characters, or at least some of the more emotionally or story driven parts, like the concept of fishmen and, you know, how they interact with humans, or the more touching point of Nami's story, having a more experienced actor involved in this spot, I think, is just the right call. And the last confirmed casting that I know of, which I actually discovered while researching for this video, is the actor for the character Chu. And this fisherman is going to be played by an actor by the name of Lynn Barry Simmons. And in terms of this character's IMDb, or their information in regards to their acting experience, it's pretty much nil. They haven't been in a whole lot, but I could at least find this actor's photo, and I can say that this actor definitely could look the part, and playing Chu should be pretty self-explanatory. There isn't a whole lot of depth to his character, so I think this casting decision also should work out pretty well. Now, as I said, that's all I got in terms of confirmed casting for the One Piece series. I do expect we'll get more announcements soon as as we still have a lot of important characters who have yet to be cast, like Zeph or Smoker or Dragon. These are all characters who should be popping up in season 1, but have no confirmed actors so far. So with the news and updates with season 1 out of the way, we can go ahead and talk about the potential for a season 2. And with that being said, I'd like to go ahead and share this gem of a video with you guys.
Can do it. Watch
absolutely.
One Piece. It's
I know, but my favorite character is Tony Chopper.
Ooh, okay.
And my friend Brina Palencia does the voice of Tony Chopper in the American dub.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. So your favorite character is Tony Chopper. I remember you specifically saying who you would like to play in One
What's
Piece.
her name?
Nico Robin.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get to play. I'm a little old, but you know, there's that wizened old crone lady. Not Nico Robin, the one, that woman.
Correja. You want to?
Maybe I can be Correja.
Ooh.
She wears those like really low bell bottoms. She's looking a little nasty, but she has that long kind of stringly gray hair, and my Ruby said that would be what I would play.
Oh, I love that.
I can totally see that. Plus, she like has that drink. She's super charismatic. She's the mother figure of Chopper.
Yeah.
That's pretty fantastic. That's really great. So we're here on the red carpet. This
That
is
is
our first time
amazing.
here.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you didn't already know, that actress is Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, even though this is at the Oscars and she's doing a red carpet interview, a lot of this stuff that went down during the Oscars has been overshadowed by Will Smith slapping the piss out of Chris Rock. But with that being said, for us One Piece fans, this is a very large interview. She is telling TikTok that she has a profound interest in playing the role of Correja. More specifically, she would love to play the role of Robin, but she is humble enough to admit that she has aged herself out of that role, and as such will be willing to take on a character like Correja, who is very important to the introduction of Chopper. Now, that's already pretty amazing for us One Piece fans to see that coming from a very well-known and very well-experienced actress, but to put the cherry on top, she's actually good friends with the voice actor for the character Tony Chopper, who's also her favorite character. Now, in regards to Season 2, I don't believe that we have any confirmation that Season 2 is a guaranteed thing. I would hope, though, that Oda, being as smart as he is and as careful with his series as most manga would be, that he wouldn't sign on with Netflix unless he knows that they could be seriously considering doing a season 2, even if season 1 doesn't turn out to be as successful. I mean, a lot of the characters that we know and love from One Piece take quite some time to build up their backstories and for us to kind of fall in love with in terms of them being involved in the story. But I would imagine that if the series writer and producer, Matt Owens, could get a verbal confirmation from her that she'd be willing to take on this role for a somewhat modest pay rate, that he could probably convince Netflix to go ahead and greenlight a season 2 before season 1 even gets close to airing. I mean, if you take a look at this post from Matt Owens himself, it seems like he's definitely courting the idea of discussing this with her before we even know that season 2 is going to be a thing. And as I've said before in multiple videos in regards to the live action One Piece, I don't think that A-list actors really should have much of a presence when it comes to One Piece. However, that totally changes if the A-list actor in question actually is a fan of the series and is willing to put their full-blown effort into portraying these characters properly. Plus, if she were to take on this role, any One Piece fans out there who happen to be A-list actors may be more likely to get themselves involved in the project. And if that were to happen, that could also serve as a bonus perk to some of the newer actors and actresses of the series who actually could bounce off of these more talented and more experienced actors, and also put more effort in considering that someone so legendary might become a part of the cast. Now, in light of this promising development, I want to go ahead and make a video on a potential A-list cameo cast when it comes to season 2. And if you guys want to help me out with that, I'll be doing a separate video some point in the near future, but I'll go ahead and list off some characters. If you guys want to comment down below which A-list actors or which actors in general you think should play these roles. And the first batch of season 2 characters who would need representation are as so: Chopper, Correja, Hiruluk, Wapole, Dory and Brogy, and Vivi. Now, although I would definitely appreciate your guys' input, I'll go ahead and state now that almost certainly Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be my #1 pick to play Correja, and I'll probably pick her friend and voice actress, who I assume is Brina Palencia, to play the voice of Chopper, who I think we all can agree is going to be a CGI representation. So with that being said, that's all that I have in terms of the casting for season 1 and a potential season 2. Now I want to go ahead and get on to some news, updates, and photos. And in terms of the news and updates, there really isn't a whole lot of specific information out there in terms of the production and its progress, but from what I can tell, the images that I've seen, it seems like the production is well underway and they are probably already into shooting a good portion of this series. So I guess now we can get into some photos that I'd like to talk about, and this first one here is of a potential set piece for Alvida's ship, and for all I know there is no official confirmation from Netflix whether or not this is an actual set piece, but it does actually look like Alvida's ship, and if it is, it looks like Netflix has invested enough money for them to actually build very large set pieces. And I know this ship is kind of blurry, but this ship will probably only be present really for episode 1 and maybe episode 2. And if they went through this much trouble for that, then I gotta say that they are putting their real effort into the series and not just haphazardly throwing it together. Now, the image of Alvida's ship comes courtesy of a Twitter page, which is titled OP Netflix fan, and obviously that would mean One Piece Netflix fan, but that is not all they have to offer. We also have these images here of a potential load count, and even another image quite possibly of Roger's execution platform. Now, ultimately, these images are very cool and very insightful, but they don't really tell us about the progress or the process of them filming these scenes and when they are going to be filmed. I would have to imagine that this set was built around an existing building, then it's very likely that they have already shot this scene or in the process of shooting it. And if that is the case, it might be possible that they have already casted a Roger, and because he's such an important character to the One Piece series, they could be keeping the casting of Gold D. Roger a secret for now. So I guess we'll just have to wait to get more information on that, but I did recently just start following Matt Owens, the writer and producer of this series, and he has posted some interesting photos. Here is one image of him and Taz Skylar drinking and having a good time, which is what pirates do. And this is awesome to see for a multitude of reasons, but it's good to know that the series producer, Matt Owens, the man in charge, is doing an amazing job of not only representing the fan base of One Piece, being that he's a fan himself, but he's also connecting and vibing with the cast members. Or at the very least is vibing with Taz Skylar, our Sanji. As you can also see from these images here that Taz Skylar is doing Sanji-like things. He's cooking up amazing looking meals, and Matt Owens felt the need to share it on his Instagram. So that is going to do it for this One Piece live action update video. Again, let me know in the comment section down below if you guys are excited about the series and what you would like to see. Also, drop the comments below about which A-list actors you think could possibly take a role in Whiskey Peak, Drum Island, Little Garden, characters that are very likely to pop up in season 2. I'll obviously be doing my own research as to which actors or actresses I would like to see play some of these roles, and honestly we don't even know if we'll get a season 2, but with the update with the Jamie Lee Curtis thing, I think it is looking a little more viable in terms of Netflix seeing it as a potential success. So if you guys are still here and made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more One Piece related content. My name is John from AFA. I'm looking forward to your guys' comments. I'll see you in the next video.